My name is Dean Joyce, and I've always been involved in the car industry, which I have recently retired from for the most part, but I've always liked to help other people in my situation or similar situations. Life before my injury was very active. I mostly focused on just riding dirt bikes and four-wheelers. I started working when I was 9 years old. I just like to work, make money, have fun with things that I bought, like four-wheelers and stuff, and just got into the cars and all that stuff back then. So my injury was on October 24th, 1995. I was 21 and a half years old. It was a motorcycle slash car accident where there was a elderly man driving eastbound and I was going westbound. And he ended up cutting across our lane to turn into a parking lot. And at the time, I figured that the guy was just going to continue on and I was just going to veer around the back of his car. But when he stopped, accidents happened. I went into a panic mode and locked up my brakes. The bike went down and I slid on my hands and feet for about 60 feet. My bike went underneath the front of his car and I hit like right behind the front wheel and bounced off of it and landed behind the car. That was it. Lights were out. My heart stopped and a off-duty nurse came by and resuscitated me and got my heart going. And the EMTs finally came and took me away. I was in a coma for about a week. I had absolutely no brain function whatsoever. But, people say that you hear everything when you're in a coma. And I guess that's true because when I woke up, I knew what happened. It took a few days to kind of realize, what the limitations were going to be. But never even to this day have I shed a tear over it. I was injured in Arizona and I had to go back to New York to be with family because, of course, I couldn't take care of myself at the time. And I got back. I stayed at my parents' house for a night before I went down to the rehab center in West Haverstraw. It's Helen Hayes Hospital. From my accident on October 24th, I was actually able to have inpatient rehab all the way until April 26th. I finally got out of the hospital and went home. And it was accessible enough inside, but the ramp wasn't even started yet because the architect was trying to get all the permits in place. So we had a ramp, the temporary ramp off the front of the house, which I could get down, but there's no way I could get back up it without help. Eventually, that ramp got built. I was going outside. I was going around the block trying to build up my strength, and then started working towards getting a car, which I finally got in the beginning of 97. And that was a huge step. My injury level is an incomplete C5 and a complete C6. So I have more damage on my right side than my left. Absolutely no tricep in my right arm. If I try to curl my wrist on my right side, it's extremely weak. I can't get it all the way. My left side, I do have a tricep. It's just enough to hold my arm straight. I cannot move my fingers at all. You get used to how to grab things that are not heavy. But other than that, I have, zero feeling or movement below my upper chest. A good support system is definitely helpful in getting back to life. My family was great. I got rid of the fake friends before my injury. So the friends that I had, when I was injured, they were still there. If anything, I met more people. And we had some good times. It was, life could still be good. So between my getting out of rehab in May of 98, I met a few people online back in the AOL days of chat rooms. I met a person in Phoenix where I was. I met another girl in Nevada and another girl up in Northern California. All three of them were in wheelchairs, similar injury levels. And then in 98, my mother and I decided we're going to take a drive across country. So in those little over 4 weeks that we were gone, I drove 7,950 miles. And that helped a lot with my strength and my stamina. Before my injury, I spent thousands of dollars on cars. After my injury, I was trying to get away from that. So I bought a 1998 Mercury Mystique. It was a great handling car and it was practical, had plenty of room in it, but it was still compact. After we got back from the cross-country trip, I ordered a subwoofer and just to give it a little upgrade. And that was a downward spiral after that. So it ended up being the car that I spent the most money on ever. I won trophies with it. When I went to shows like the international show Hot Import Nights, the judges had no idea what the car was. We refabricated this car to the max, and I have pictures of it, before and after, and people are just like blown away. They can't believe it was a Mystique to begin with. I've driven I'd say about 400,000 plus miles since my injury, maybe 500,000 miles. But I've owned at least a dozen cars since then. Right now I have a Honda and a Chevy Corvette. My most surprising accomplishment since my injury is just starting my own business and running a business for 11 years. I started a car club after I modified that Mystique, and everybody was hoping that one of us would open a shop. And finally, in 2004, I found a shop that I moved in on my own, and I ran a business there all the way until the end of 2015. I was mostly the brains behind the business. I did all the office work, all the communication with everybody. I have extensive knowledge in automotive, all makes and models. So I'd even help the technicians, if need be, diagnose things. Skills and experiences that I would like to have next is finding more time to do everything. I mean, I think that's the most challenging thing that we all face, especially when we're injured, is that everything takes us more time. I would like to help other people in the same situation, like pretty much get from let's say their injury date to their independent state a lot faster than I did. What's good about nowadays is less than 2 years ago, there was a lot of jobs out there where disabled people might apply for a job and the employer would be hesitant to hire them and tell them that there's absolutely no way that you could do this job from home. But over the course of this past year with COVID, a lot of these businesses were having their employees work from home and they survived. So now they don't have an excuse that they can't hire disabled people. People need to stop thinking like, who's going to hire me in a wheelchair? Forget the wheelchair part. What can you bring to the table? Do I want to walk again? It would have to be in pill form, I would say. And it would have to be immediate because I have been in a wheelchair for almost 26 years now. I've built this life. I mean, my girlfriend and I are together for 13 years. We've got a house together. I drive a vet. I drive whatever I want, really. And I'm not going to sideline my life for a cure that's not a proven quick, cure. The girl that I'm with now, we've been together for 13 years, said she has spina bifida. So she's always used either crutches or a wheelchair. Our relationship is great. We can relate to each other. You've experienced a lot of similar situations. So I think I'll ride this one out for the rest of my life. And she's a great girl. So as far as when I speak to newly injured people, I just make sure that they know that you can't really let anybody tell you what you're going to be able to do and what you're not going to be able to do, because doctors have no idea. They kind of tell you what they've seen before, but they don't really see what these people do after their stay or after their rehab. I would just tell everybody who is newly injured that there's really nothing that's going to stop you.